How about I say welcome, and then Lily says to, and then Aiden says the, and then you say knowing, and then I say God.
And then we all say together, podcast!
Yeah.
Okay, that's enough. Don't do that. How, Grayson?
What if this was live? We cannot do this live.
Yo, is this because I'm used to like college degrees and all that stuff, you know? Welcome
to the
Knowing
God
podcast.
Okay,
this interview's over.
We can do that right. Grayson, you gotta be up here, man. No. Okay, now you do it.
to.
No, you say welcome. Stay down here. Say welcome. Grayson, stop. Say it the right way.
Say
Mom, will you tell him
welcome.
to say it the right way?
No, can I listen to this when we're done?
Welcome to episode number 54 of the Knowing God podcast for kids. My name is Erin, and I have got two boys in the room to help me. Who are you boys?
Grayson.
Aiden.
Hi, Grayson and Aiden. Grayson and Aiden, what do you normally do with your grandma a couple times a week?
Walk.
Yeah, you go on a walk with your grandma. So usually on Wednesday and Friday mornings, and sometimes maybe another day or two, you make plans to go walking around, 7:30 in the morning? And
That's about right.
About right, and you get some exercise. So you walk on the sidewalk, and sometimes you walk on the trails that are near our house. And how far do you normally walk when you go on a walk?
3 to 2 miles.
3 to 2 miles. What do you think, Aiden? How far did you walk last time?
5 miles.
Did you walk 5 miles? So you walk a long ways.
But I wasn't there the last time he walked.
Oh, but you walk quite a ways with your grandma when you go, right?
Right.
So do you think that the Bible says anything about going on walks?
Yes.
You think so? What do you think it says?
I don't know.
You don't know? Okay. So let's read what Genesis 5:24 says. Grayson, do you want to read this one?
Enoch walked with God.
Okay, so Genesis 5:24 says Enoch walked with God. Aiden, what does Genesis 6:9 say?
Noah walked with God.
Okay, so Enoch walked with God and Noah walked with God. Do you think they got up in the morning at 7:30 and walked on the trails together?
No.
What do you think it means when it says that they walked with God?
I don't know.
So there are 5 things that I want to talk about that have to do with going on walks. And those 5 things will help us understand what it means to walk with God. Because God doesn't just want Noah and Enoch to walk with him. He wants every single person on the planet to walk with him. So those 5 words are direction, attention, time, speed, and movement. So I want to talk about each one of those things because they will help us understand what it means to go on a walk with God. So let's talk about direction first. Let's say that you leave our house and you walk down the sidewalk, and what will you eventually walk to when you get to the bottom of the hill going that way?
Trees.
Trees. What else?
There's 2 paths.
Yeah, you'll get to a trail, right? So when you get to that trail, you can either make a left or a right. So the sidewalk kind of goes right up to that trail, and it's a paved trail, but you have to either go to the left or the right, right?
Right.
So what would happen if you were walking with your grandma and grandma decided to go left on the trail and you decided to go right?
We would lose sight of each other.
Yeah, you wouldn't be walking with grandma anymore, would you?
No.
No, you'd be walking by yourself because she'd be going the other way. When you are walking with someone, you are doing what they do, and they are doing what you do, and you're going on a walk in the same direction. Otherwise, you're not walking with each other, right? So grandma doesn't force you to go that way, and you don't force grandma to go that way. You could say that the two of you are in agreement with each other when you're walking together. Does that make sense?
Yes.
You agree to walk together in a certain direction. And when we think about walking with God, we can think of it as if we're walking in the same direction that God is going. We could say that we are in agreement with God. So how do you think that we can get in agreement with God? Any ideas?
By doing what he wants us to do with our life.
Yeah, that's a good answer. So how do we know what he wants us to do?
We ask him and pray to him and read the Bible.
So let's talk about being in agreement with someone for just a minute. So in order to agree with someone, you have to know what they think or what they say. So if I said that I think there is a certain flavor of ice cream that is the best flavor in the whole world, but I'm not going to tell you what that flavor is. Could you agree with me that it's the best flavor in the whole world?
No.
No,
Why not?
because we didn't even know what flavor it was.
Yeah, you don't know what flavor I'm talking about. I said I was going to keep it a secret. So you can't agree with me and you can't disagree with me because you just don't know. So the good news is that we can be in agreement with God because we can find out what he's thinking and what he's saying. So how can we do that? How do we know what God's thinking and what he's saying?
Well, one way is to by praying to him.
Yeah, by praying. Okay, what else?
Reading the Bible.
Yeah. So the Bible tells us what God says and it tells us what he's thinking. So let's say that you decide and that you know without a doubt that everything in the Bible is true. Then do you think that you could say that you agree with what God says?
Yes.
If you believe the Bible, do you agree with God?
Yes.
Yeah. So since I believe what the Bible says and we agree with the Bible, then the things that we do should match what the Bible says. And guess what? Guess what happens after that? Then we're walking with God. We are walking in agreement with him, just like you would walk with another person and you would decide which direction to go. One of you wouldn't go left and the other right. You would go in the same direction. You are walking with God in the same direction when you agree with the Bible and you do what it says. So I want to talk about one more word before we go. We said we were going to talk about 5 words and we talked about the word direction. And now we're going to talk about the word attention really quick. Okay. And it has to do with walking. Okay. So when you go on a walk with Grandma, what do you normally do besides walk?
Well, we go and feed fish.
Okay. You feed fish. What else do you do? Do you talk to her?
Yes.
Yeah. You talk about all kinds of things, right? You talk to her and you spend time with her. Do you think that when you go on walks with her, do you think that you get to know her a little better?
Yes.
Yeah, she tells you things about herself and you tell her things and you get to know each other better. So do you think that we can kind of do that same thing with God?
Yes.
We can spend time with him and talk to him, right?
Right.
So how do we do that?
By praying.
By praying. In Matthew 28:20, Jesus said, I am with you always. God is always with us and never leaves us. And in 1 Thessalonians 5, it says that we should pray without ceasing. What does ceasing mean? Do you know?
No, I don't.
Without stopping.
You're right. Pray without stopping. Does that mean that we can never do anything else? We can only pray all day long, every day?
No.
No.
No. It's kind of like saying that we can have a conversation with God throughout the day. It doesn't mean we can't do anything else, but every prayer that we say, everything that we say to God doesn't have to be this really long prayer. Sometimes it can just be little short things that we say to God. Kind of like when you read the book about Nehemiah, he's the one who helped build the walls around the temple in Israel again. And if you read the book of Nehemiah, you can see that sometimes he prayed little short prayers. Like he prayed a little prayer in his head before he went to go talk to the king. So it's okay to maybe just say a short little thing to God throughout the day. And we can kind of keep a conversation going with God no matter what we're doing. No matter if we're going to the store or staying home or going on a walk or playing with our toys, we know that God's always with us and we can talk to him throughout the day. And when we do that, we're putting our attention on God. Kind of like you're paying attention when you go on a walk with Grandma. She's paying attention to you and you're paying attention to her. Let's say you see a really cool animal. Aiden, what kind of animals have you seen when you went on a walk with Grandma?
Deer and rabbits.
Deer and rabbits. Did you see a big turtle once?
Yeah.
Grayson, what did we see once when we went on a walk? Do you remember?
A groundhog.
A groundhog. There's lots of creatures around here, right? So when you see an animal when you're walking, do you just keep it to yourself and not say anything? What do?
I tell some people in my family.
Yeah, you say, hey, look at that. There's a groundhog. And that's kind of a way to think about spending time with God. If something good happens, tell God about it. Or if something bad happens, tell God about it. Even though he already knows that it happens, he wants you to talk to him. And when we do this, when we put our attention on him, it's like we're walking with him. We're going on a walk with God. And we're getting to know him better. Now, what if you went on a walk with Grandma and you brought your tablet with you and you played a game the whole time you were walking?
That wouldn't be paying attention.
You're right. It wouldn't. Do you think you would talk very much to Grandma? Would you say very many things to her?
No.
No. And there are a lot of things in this world that can distract us, right? That can take our attention. And if we allow this to happen, then we're not doing a very good job with walking with God, are we?
No.
No. So we talked about two things today. We talked about direction, going in the same direction with God. How do we do that?
By reading the Bible and doing what it says.
You're right. When we read the Bible, then it's like we're agreeing with God and we're going in the same direction. And what was the other thing that we talked about? The direction and attention. So we put our attention on God. We can talk to him anytime we want to throughout the day, not just in the morning, right? Kind of like you just go on a walk with Grandma in the morning, not just in the morning, but throughout the whole day. And when we put our attention on God and we don't get distracted, it's another way of saying we're walking with God. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Now, in the next episode, we're going to continue talking about walking with God. We talked about direction and attention, but we need to talk about the other three words. We need to talk about time and speed and movement. And as we continue to talk about this, we're going to learn more and more what it means to take a walk with God. Okay?
Okay.
Okay, thank you for your help today. Thank you so much for listening. You can go to our website, hideandseekministries.com/podcast, and find a free printable worksheet that goes along with what we talked about today. If you haven't subscribed to our podcast, we hope that you do, and we hope that you join us on the next episode of the Knowing God podcast for kids.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay, Grayson, I can see it in your eyeballs. You've got a really good joke for us today, don't you?
Yes, I do.
You do? You're grinning from ear to ear. I can't wait to hear it. What is your joke?
What did the cow say to the other cow?
What?
Have you had any snacks? Because I just had this new snack called a moo.
You got a snack called a moo? What's a moo?
I don't know.
Is that what cows want all the time? When they're saying moo, do they just want to eat a snack?